Good morning, you guys. How's everybody doing out there? My name is Jason. I'm going to sing you guys a song here. When you're down in trouble and you need a helping hand and nothing is going right, just close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running just to see you again. Summer or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. Now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and they'll desert you. Take your soul if you let them. Oh, but don't you let them. No. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running just to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. How's everybody doing out there? It's nice to see you. Yes, you've got a friend. Yes, you've got a friend.
What a lovely way to start our morning together. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. I love your setup there.
Thank you. We're here in my recording studio.
I love it. I'm so intrigued by what is that, a keyboard, a double keyboard above the symbol?
That is a Rhodes and a Hammond organ right above it.
I just love it. I'm so drawn to it. So fabulous. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to sharing this time together. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Goldstein, our musical artist today, as we have our Sunday celebration service. He'll be with us throughout the morning. So thank you for being here, Jason. So good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and I welcome you into our virtual space as we come together on this day, wherever you may be joining us from, either Facebook or Zoom, or at a later date. It's live on October 9th in the year 2022. And we come together to remember who we are as divine beings, to feel the connection that we share to the essence of life itself, and just simply to calm down our lives, to slow down and to stop, if you will, in the name of love, of course. Love, the self-givingness of spirit, whose desires to create more of itself out of itself, and it does that through you, and it does that through me, as it's doing that through Jason, and it's doing that through the reflections that are coming through as I move my face in this camera shot of the light that's zooming into the room. But I welcome you today, and to know that you are in your perfect place, in the perfect time, at the perfect moment, experiencing the perfection that connects to your soul, that is your soul, that's readying itself for a movement in consciousness to provide for each and every one of us an awakening to a greater realization and acceptance of who we are as divine beings. So welcome to the Sunday celebration service for the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. We're going to begin our service this morning with a couple of slides on the screen to get us going, and I'm going to put them up right now. And we like to open our service on Sunday mornings with an act of Namaste. A Namaste is the bowing, if you will, a metaphorical bowing to the power and the presence of the divine that exists by means of each one of us. We're used to hearing it in today's world of, I bow to you, or I honor the power of the divine that exists in me, honor and acknowledges that within you. And so using both of those today, let's all just take a deep breath in, anchor ourselves where we are physically, exhale, place our hands together in prayer position, closing our eyes if that feels comfortable, bringing into our mind's eye those that are on this live stream and through Facebook and at a later date, feeling that interconnection that we share to all, and as we raise our hands to our lips, to our third eye, back to our lips, blessing what comes off of them, back to our heart, we say together as we bow forward, Namaste. And so it is. I welcome you into our space today. We're a community that primarily focuses on the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes, which is a collective of all of the great spirituality that was unfolding in the world at the end of the 18th century. Yes, the 18th century, as it moved to the 19th century, as it moved into the 20th century. And it was a book that was published in 1926 that was a collective of philosophy and faith and way of life, with the ultimate being that there's really only one power in the universe. It matters not what we call it, but it matters greatly that we call it, in the sense that we're all part of this one thing. We call it mind, and as being individualized expressions of the mind, of the divine, us, each and every one of us as sentient beings, that when we pay attention to our mind, changing our thinking, we indeed change our world. That we are interconnected through this force, this power, this essence of life itself. And that we know that through mind at a very instinctual, individual, intuitive nature. And so we get to participate in how we experience life based on how we show up in life through our minds, through our thoughts, through our actions, through our reactions, our interactions, that which we speak, say, do in life itself. And this is because we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law. Just as we know gravity works, the same for all of us, the same with spiritual law, the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, the law of reciprocity, are all just language or words of language to help us identify that we live in a universe whereby we play a role in creating the consciousness, our state of being in life. And as a result of that, because we live in a world where we experience a reflection of that which is the totality of our mind, that takes place because the universe responds to us, as Ernest Holmes says, by corresponding. And so as a community, our vision statement is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so today I invite each of us to open up to a spiritual awakening in a new way, to open up to an ascension in mind, to a reflection of who we are as divine beings. Oftentimes we talk about in our philosophy, faith, and way of life that we're each imbued with the qualities of the divine, which include peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom. And so as we honor those within us and practice those within us, we reflect those back in life itself. And so today, let's all tune in to supporting each other and finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. As a community, as I've said, we've come together for over 30 years, and we welcome and honor all races, all religions, all countries of origins, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities, for we stand with you physically when we're together, you're safe with us, and metaphorically in mind, heart, soul, and being when we're not. We welcome you with our every fiber of our being and honor you as to where you are on your path of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. We believe in the power of the spoken word. And so I invite you to speak these words with me as a mantra for our community. We welcome one, and we welcome all. And so we open our service every Sunday morning with a morning ritual. It's called Calling in the Light. And we perform this ritual of calling in the light and light this metaphorical candle, honoring the different flames, the different faiths of the world. And so we do that for the purpose of opening our consciousness and reflecting the oneness of life that we each exist. And so in your mind's eye, if you see me lighting a metaphorical candle, let's know that we do that together for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and of equilibrium. We also light this metaphorical candle for shamanic traditions. In so doing, we do that honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality, as well as we light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, of action, and of devotion. As well, we light this one candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. And we light it for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We remember to breathe during this journey. We also light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. And for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. And we light it for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and of peace. And we light it for all forms of new thought. Science of mind is one of those. We consider ourselves a center practicing new thought. And so all forms of new thought honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual practice principles. As well, we light it for what we call the healing candle. And so I ask you to take a moment and think of someone that you'd like to silently put into the light of this healing flame, which may include yourself, so that all may experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. The mantra/prayer that I would like for us to anchor in during this ritual is by Mahatma Gandhi. And he says to each of us, invites us to do the same for all, to know and affirm this: I offer you peace. I offer you love. I offer you friendship. I see your beauty. I hear your need. feel your feelings. For my wisdom flows from the highest source, and I salute that source in you. And let us all work together for unity and peace. Jason will come back on the screen now and take us through a song to anchor in this ritual.
There is one flame that burns in our hearts. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this flame with faith. We light this flame with faith. We find this light within our own souls. There is one flame, one light within.
And so it is. Beautiful, Jason. You can stay on.
Thank you.
I was so hesitant to get up and close the curtain of my window here where the light was streaming through my face, because during that ritual, a family of doves showed up on my back deck. I've never seen it before. There was like 5 adults and probably 4 small ones, and it was just so beautiful. They were just, it was most interesting, very magnetic what was drawing them into us. So,
Wow.
yes. So it's so good to have you back with us.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yeah. So you have another song for us now.
I do.
I do. Do you want to tell us what it is?
Yes. It's a song called "Blown in the Wind." This is really meaningful to me right now, so and I figured I'd like to share it with you.
Fabulous. All right.
How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? And how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And how many years must a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? And how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? And how many times must a man turn his head, pretending he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Wow, mesmerizing. Your rendition of that is mesmerizing, but also I think it's the first time I've ever really listened to the lyrics of that song.
It's a beautiful, beautiful song.
It's a beautiful song, but also has such deep meaning.
Absolutely.
And it can, for me, it provokes a visual of just moving through life and how really the answer is blowing in the wind, right? It's always there. It's just, it's moving towards us. I had a teacher years ago that used to refer to the source or the divine or the power as opportunity. He primarily taught sales. And he used to say, it's important for us to remember that opportunity is everywhere and it's multi-dimensional. So I think that's the same thing with this. The answer is no. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I know for each of us, we all know that the answer is blowing in the wind because we're all on our own path of learning, of growing, of expressing, and experiencing the divine in a new way. I'd like to begin the message this morning by reading an article that is equally as provocative, if you will, and evoking connection as did the lyrics to that song. It's called Walking a Metaphysical Path by Lynn Asmar. Walking a metaphysical, which is one of the philosophy, faith, and way of life of science of mind and related New Thought teachings, for those of you that may not be aware of this, is considered a practice of metaphysics. It is that which is beyond the physical world. And so we indeed, as practicing New Thoughtonians or practitioners of the science of mind, or those who believe in the essence of the oneness of life itself, is considered a metaphysician. So she writes, walking a metaphysical path will raise many conflicts of principle, morality, and purpose within you. And in the process of awakening to your higher purpose, and subsequently function, both the good as well as the bad are brought into consciousness. Deeply buried garbage in the form of mental conditioning and emotional programming, as well as deeply buried joy, will begin to well up to the surfaces for your consideration. On this pathway, you will need to learn how to process your garbage into compost to make fertile soil, so that seeds of joy that were given to you when you incarnated have a chance to grow to maturity. Great courage, determination, and tenacity, as well as compassion, are required to resolve the conflicts that will arise during your lifetime. She goes on to write a story by Nikos Kazantzakis may illustrate this point for you. Kazantzakis was probably the most significant and most translated Greek philosopher of the 20th century, and I hope I didn't butcher his name. But he did not become truly well known until the release of the Michael Kakoyannis film Zorba the Greek in 1964, which was based on Kazantzakis' novel of the same name. And here's this part. I remembered one morning when I discovered a cocoon in the bark of a tree, just as the butterfly was making a hole in its case and preparing to come out. I waited a while, but it was too long appearing, and I was impatient. I bent over and breathed on it to warm it. I warmed it as quickly as I could, and the miracle began to happen before my eyes, faster than life. The case opened. The butterfly started crawling out, and I shall never forget my horror when I saw how its wings were folded back and crumpled. The wretched butterfly tried with its whole trembling body to unfold them. Bending over it, I tried to help it with my breath, but it was in vain. It needed to be hatched out patiently, and the unfolding of the wings should have been a gradual process in the sun. Now it was too late. My breath had forced the butterfly to appear, all crumpled before its time. It struggled desperately, and a few seconds later died on the palm of my hand. That little body is, I do believe, the greatest weight on my consciousness. For I realize today that it is a mortal sin to violate the great laws of nature. We should not hurry, we should not be impatient, but we should confidently obey the eternal rhythm. How ironic that I share this with us after I just jumped up from my chair and moved the curtain to attempt to control the light of the sun, when yet this beautiful nature of these birds had showed up, and the minute I moved the curtain, they all flew off. They were coming here to eat seeds in the tree outside. How easily we tune out when we're presented with an opportunity to tune in, speaking for myself. I don't miss the irony here. The theme for this month is the transformational nature of nature. We're all being called day by day on our journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening to tune in to a higher resonance field, a higher vibrational frequency, to be enlightened, to tune into the light on this path that we're on, and to do the very best that we can. And when, I'm sorry, I keep looking out to see if the birds came back, and when we find ourselves not doing that, to take a deep breath in, to stop, to fine tune, and to bring ourselves back into the awareness of the divinity. Brad Austin, in the article, What Does It Mean to Walk the Spiritual Path to Enlightenment, says this: The path to enlightenment is often called a path because it's a journey through time and space. You don't simply wake up one day enlightened. It takes time and dedication to the spiritual path over many years and potentially lifetimes. Everyone is at different stages of enlightenment on the planet. Some are more advanced in areas and some are still in infancy in areas. Being enlightened doesn't necessarily mean you can walk on water. It means that you have a greater awareness and have stopped living life, your life, by default. It's very easy to live by default. It requires the least amount of effort. It generally requires more effort and consciousness to live an enlightened life. So how does one become enlightened? It starts with intent and taking the appropriate action when the opportunities arise. Enlightenment isn't simply a philosophy, it's a way of life or being. It means being slow to anger and slow to judge. It requires work and dedication to live one's life to their highest intent and calling. Becoming enlightened, does that mean that you lose your identity? It simply means that your ego becomes balanced with the light of your soul. It's when your spiritual nature becomes second nature rather than that of your ego. On this journey of enlightenment, one becomes more gentle, more compassionate, and loving towards yourself and others. It's about letting that inner voice guide us as opposed to our ego. A peer of mine years ago shared the acronym for ego of edging God out. I love the overarching concept of this, of when we live from our ego, meaning our human needs overpowering our divine urges, then we are edging God out. Not that the essence or the power or the thing itself disappears, but we seemingly have it disappear from our awareness. It's important as we lean into this journey of living an enlightened life, and I believe we're all called into this experience together because we have said yes to heeding the call of an enlightened life, an empowered life, and understand that we're all on our own individualized personal journey, and understand that to live a balanced life on this spiritual path requires a great deal of honesty and forgiveness and the ability to acknowledge and release hurts and pains. As one learns to release the pain of old hurts, mentally, emotional hurts, as well as potential physical hurts, we also begin to release the memory circuitry that's connected to a weakened or diseased part of our body. This allows for, in this release, it allows for a fuller flow of the vitality of life itself, of the life force to move through us in a more unencumbered manner. But it's important as we awaken to the awareness that we have of our awareness on a day-by-day, potentially thought-by-thought basis, one that's a reflection of intention, to be patient with ourselves, to be patient with life itself, and to do what we can to forgive ourselves. Like I'm literally processing forgiveness within my soul as we speak about attempting to control light, which then affected that. We all know what happened. I just shared that earlier. But it's important for us to be patient with ourselves and to remember that there's much to learn as well as much to unlearn on this journey, to be deconditioned and reprogrammed to the best of our ability. and to understand and to accept and to expect that oftentimes the changes and transformations that we're expecting in life may not be instantaneous. And that can be challenging because we live in a world today, a society of instant food, instant coffee, instant entertainment, instant connection, instant this, instant that, shortcuts to everything. But as we all commit, and I invite us to commit and recommit today to be patient and remember the story that was told of the butterfly, and to open ourselves up to the transformational nature of our consciousness. Last week I shared with us the realms of consciousness, the evolution of consciousness as prescribed by Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, and I'd like to remind us of those today just to see where we are if we were to do a self-inventory in the overarching element of our life, as well as to know that it is a, lack of a better term, a moving target in the unfolding of the day. There's the beginning consciousness of the victim consciousness, the to me consciousness, meaning that life is happening to me. In this state of being, we begin to think that the power itself is outside of us making things happen in life, that we're being tested and rewarded and punished all at the same time, garnering us a state of mind to potentially feel powerless. The next stage of our evolution is by me. As we evolve from the victimhood, we begin to release, as it spoke of earlier, letting go of blame and shame and guilt, and to begin to learn in a new way that the power of the divine is within us, and that there's laws, or a law in life that we can use to affect changes in life. And then as we claim dominion over our life through our thinking, through our believing, through our actions, our reactions, our interactions, that we can then use this law effectively in life. And that in and of itself provides us with a feeling of being powerful. A great tool for that is spiritual mind treatment. There are affirmations and visualizations are all spiritual, powerful spiritual practices in this realm. The next realm that we can evolve into is the through me realm. It's as we continue to evolve, we intentionally let go of control. Here we've learned to establish, to the best of our ability, dominion over our life and our thoughts, and begin to have and build strong life structures for ourselves. We begin to realize that there's more to life than just the physical elements of life, hence the term we've become practitioners of metaphysics, right? And we begin to surrender to spirit, to the power, and let it use us. And as we surrender to this indwelling presence, we then begin to acknowledge that it is operating through us always. We're beginning to not let our ego drive us, edging God out, and we begin to let Jesus take the wheel, basically, baby. That's what we do. But it ain't Jesus in the traditional sense. And it might be noted here that if we don't willingly surrender, that Spirit will give us a little push, or sometimes a big shove, or just like with me, where I didn't really know instinctively, and yet I did, that if I was letting my ego come into play with the light here, that I could potentially upset the balance of nature that was unfolding right before me, and yet I still did it. Right? The last of these evolutions is the as-me phase. It's beginning to release the last vestiges of separation, and then begin to realize a complete identification with the thing itself, with God, the thing that we know that we are, that I am, that I am, that I am. It's in this stage when Jesus, the individual I referred to earlier, said, when they see me, they see that he sent me, that I and the Father are one. I share this with us today because I think it's important for all of us to begin to do our best to release these vestiges of separation. That should we desire to tune into the natural flow of the transformational nature of nature that is before us at all times, with the answer blowing in the wind, that it's up to us to surrender and let the power itself, that thing, that one life, guide us to live in oneness to the best of our ability, and to trust that the oneness of life will provide for us through us, for indeed it is us. In other words, to consciously court the activity of having mystical experiences. Andrew Harvey writes that a mystical experience is always available, like the divine grace it is to any who really desire it. And all human beings are given in the course of their lives glimpses into the heart of the real, which they are free to pursue or forget. Living in mysticism is that nature of living in oneness, accepting at a higher frequency than ever before the interconnectedness of all life itself. Brother Wayne Teasdale writes to live in mysticism, and the article The Mystic Heart, mysticism itself generates inner freedom and outer perspective. Mystics hear the call to continue on the way. They're not content to settle down, but must press on to greater and greater and greater discovery. This was clearly the case with figures like Ramakrishna, B.D. Griffiths, Krishnamurti, Thomas Merton. The fully formed mystic or contemplative is the new cultural hero who guides humankind to its maturity. I think we can all agree that humankind needs to be guided to maturity in a greater way today. And if we wonder how that can happen, besides voting, of course, it's in this way. The fully formed mystic, that is what we're all working to be to the best of our ability. Or contemplative is the new cultural hero who guides humankind to its maturity, and we do that through our thoughts, our actions, our reactions, our interactions, our states of forgiveness, our intentional framing, realigning our mind to the oneness of life, and then living accordingly. Teasdale goes on to tell us that mystics are heralds of the interspiritual age, in which all of humankind's wisdom will be gathered up and shared as in a common tradition. This process never ends, but must be renewed in each and every century. By realizing that the diversity of tradition and approaches willed by God, the mystic becomes the guardian of interspirituality. Interspirituality and intermysticism are the terms I've coined to designate, Teasdale, the increasingly familial phenomenon of cross-religious sharing of interior resources, the spiritual treasures of each tradition. What traditions of metaphysics would we like to share with the world? In listening to the great faiths of the world, what would we like to share? Well, of course, an acknowledgement of oneness, an understanding and acceptance that we are all equal expressions of the divine, and that by thinking and acting and interacting and reacting in a way that is reflective of our divine nature, the law of life responds and brings back to us experiences that are reflective of that. And let's ask ourselves, what traditions of other spiritual realms and practices may we invite into our life? Doing this for the purpose of ascending to a higher way of thinking and being, to begin to open ourselves up to the infinite presence of life itself, to choose to be a reflection of Source. And ask ourselves, how can we use nature as a point of reference in a way to support our growth? I often look at the moon at night and think, wow, it's just so spectacular how it moves through its phases, if you will, in life, and how we get to experience it because it's reflecting the source of life itself. I want to share this article with you that hopefully will be a stimulus for us to think anew today in regards to how we reflect the light of the divine. It's titled, Why Does the Moon Shine? You know that the earth would be a dismal place without its bright, shining neighbor, the sun. But did you know that the moon would also be just another dull orb if not for the sun's rays? The moon shines because its surface reflects light from the sun. And despite the fact that it sometimes seems to shine very brightly, the moon reflects only 3 and 12% of the sunlight that hits it. The perceived brightness of the moon from Earth depends on where the moon is in its orbit around the planet. The moon travels once around Earth every 29.5 days, and during its journey, it's lit from varying angles by the sun. This movement of the moon around the Earth and the simultaneous orbiting of Earth around the sun accounts for the moon's different phases: full moon, quarter moon, etc. At any given point in the moon's trajectory around the Earth, only half of its surface is facing the sun, and therefore only half of the moon is lit up. The other half of the surface faces away from the sun and is in shadow. The moon is at its brightest when it's 180 degrees away from the sun from our perspective. Picture the sun, Earth, and moon in a straight line. At this time, the full half of the moon's surface facing the sun is illuminated and is visible from Earth. This is what's known as a full moon. But remember, it's only half of it that's actually showing. At new moon, on the other hand, the moon isn't even visible from our vantage point. This is when the moon is between the sun and the Earth. So the side of the moon reflecting sunlight is facing away from the Earth. In the days before and after a new moon, we'll see a sliver of the moon reflecting sunlight. And during those times, the faint brightness of the rest of the moon, the part not brightly lit as a sliver, is a result of what scientists called earth shine, in which the moon's relatively dark disk is slightly illuminated by sunlight that reflects off the Earth, then off the moon, and then back to our eyes. This, I believe, is truly an example of the transformational nature of nature and its phases. I share that with us today because A, I find it quite interesting and informative, but B, it reminds us that just as the moon is going through continual phases in life of how it reflects the light of the sun or turned away from the light of the sun, living in shadow, we too go through phases in our life. And the one thing that's constant that it speaks of here for the earth and the moon is the sun, the source of light. And so I invite each of us today to tune in a new way to ask ourselves, in what phase are we reflecting the light of the divine? Not to judge, not to belittle, not even to maybe celebrate, but just to tune into our awareness of how we're using our light and reflecting the power that is within us. And to know that, like the moon, we each must go through our phases sometimes of emptiness to be full again. We're all being called to a pathway of enlightenment. Enlightenment can also be referred to as ascension. And there can be a lot of misconceptions about ascension. For those on a spiritual path, their bodies will generally live longer than those that are not ascending. We're not at the point really to judge that. What I want us to look at is that ascension is often called a narrow path because it requires a lot of inner work. And it's very easy for us on the pathway of life to get caught up in materialism and instant gratification, which can deter our path to enlightened. Becoming enlightened doesn't mean that we have to sell all our possessions and live a monastic life. It just simply means, to the best of our ability, living life in balance, no matter the phase that we're in. We each are on a journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today, let's remember that how we use the light of the divine on our journey in life impacts and affects the journey of each other. For we're all in this together, interconnected, interstellar, one, one life. Thank you. Jason's going to come on now and share with us a beautiful song that's going to continue this field of reflectivity.
Together as family, we have come here as we are. We have come with arms wide open. We have gathered here in love. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts and praise. Spirit is in this place. We sing in celebration. We sing with words of prayer. We affirm all life as sacred. We declare that peace is here. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts and praise. The Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts and praise. Spirit is in this. Raise the roof with shouts and praise. Spirit is in this place.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Is that an original song by, did you do that?
I did not do that. That's written by Denise Rossier. Amazing.
Oh, yeah, it's very moving and captivating. It is. Thank you. Jason, thank you so very much for being here today.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Always, it's just a joy and a pleasure to have you be a part of the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And I know that you are out sharing your talent on a daily basis. You were teaching class all day yesterday, and you work at other centers. And so thank you for shining your light and for shining your light. Let's leave it at that. So it's always so wonderful to be with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And a big thank you to each one of you for being here today. And know that your presence, whether it's through Zoom or Facebook, makes an imprint on the soul of humanity itself. And so we all grow together. A big thank you to Travis Smith, our audio technician, for keeping us tuned in and working with us to make sure we present to the best of our ability. Certainly there are certain things out of our control technologically, but to the best of our ability, what we can. Thank you, Travis. We started at it early this morning, and Travis is not an early morning person, so to start early and meet us is a good thing. Big thank you to Robert Hensley, our administrative assistant and social media guru, for all the work that you do to support us. And let you know that we'll be back in person on October 23rd. So let's all plan for that. Our Wednesday morning meditations continue at 8:30 a.m. You can find all of that information on our website and our weekly e-newsletter, as well as the new thought for the day goes out via text. Share those with your friends, and once again, all that information can be found through our website and or our app in the App Store and or through various social media sites. So please share. I want to put on the screen right now the methods and opportunities to support our community financially, and know that all of your financial support is greatly appreciated and welcomed and honored and acknowledged. You can go to our website to donate through the website, which is CSL-LA.org, or you can go to our app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and click on the upper left bars, and a screen will come up and take you through that. Or you can pop a check in the mail. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038. Or you can call me. My phone number's on the screen should you prefer to do that, to do it privately. Know that all is appreciated and acknowledged and welcomed and supported. So Jason's going to take us through a song of conscious giving while we all take a moment to do that, and then we'll come right back together.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me, Spirit gives through you, Spirit receives through you, Spirit lives and breathes through you, Spirit lives and breathes through you, Spirit gives to us, Spirit receives through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us.
As well it does. And so it is. So it is. So once again, a big thank you to all of you for being here. I know that for each of us, there was something that we connected with today that will provide us a greater sense of source and strength to know who we are as divine beings, to let our ego dissipate and disappear on some level, ultimately bringing a greater energy field into the universe by means of each one of us. And that we open ourselves up to go forward in life by consciously making a difference, by consciously inviting in the elements of life that are different than us, and that we share who and what we are as divine beings with them, and to know that we welcome that sharing with us. And as a result of that, we evolve into greater expressions of who and what we are as divine beings. We're going to close with a meditation, spiritual mind treatment, and then we will say goodbye to those of you on Facebook and those of you on Zoom that would like to stay on and have a brief chat. We're going to do that. And so without further ado, let's give it a close. So I invite you to take a deep breath in. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. And so Spirit lives through you and me. Spirit gives to us. And so today is the day, and now is the moment that we open up and receive in a new way. We visualize ourselves literally edging out our ego, letting go of any energy fields within us, of feelings that we know better. This doesn't mean that we now just float through the ethers of life untethered. Quite the opposite. We allow that internal wisdom of the divine to rise up and guide us forward in life. We set the intention and make commitment to let nature have its course and its way through us. Understanding and accepting that there is a natural rhythm to the evolution of the creative process for us individually and collectively. While also understanding there is that fine line of surrendering and being a conscious, conscientious part of the creative process. And so we know that the higher way to do that, the place of ascension to do that, is to consistently and intentionally and constructively be aware of what's going on in our mentality, our emotionality, and our humanity as we surrender to our divinity. And we trust that great statement / commandment to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. Not out of fear of retribution, but because we understand the nature of life itself, and that the law of life responds by corresponding. And so today, as we rise up in consciousness and go deeper in our soul, we move forward into playing in the realm of nature with trust, with faith, and with an expanded sense of awareness that the higher idea is always making itself known through us, as us, living in that third and fourth realm of awakening. And so it's set in motion. And for that, we're ever so grateful of the opportunity to participate in the creation of our life experience. And we tune into a resonance field of this gratitude and let it be the buoyancy by which we move forward, engaging in life, appreciating life, and living life in a new framework of mind. We let it be, and so it is. May you have a fantastic day, a fantastic week ahead. I look forward to sharing with each and every one of you more of what we share together when we share it. Have a great day. Thank you.